Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dietitian's Table. I'm your host, Joy, and today we are joined by diabetes advocate Beau Burnett of Your Daily Diabetic. Let's dive into it. Hi, Beau. Thank you for coming today.
Hello, Joy, and thank you very much. It's an honor to be on the dietitian table with you.
We're very happy to have you. Tell us a little bit about your daily diabetic.
Your Daily Diabetic it is a brand, and it's more of a movement. So it is about educating and helping individuals become the best version of themselves by using diabetes as a tool to not just better their health, but to better their overall life by using healthy habits and overall creating a version of themselves that they want to be in order to achieve things that they've never achieved before, whether it's health goals, finance, whatever it is, but using diabetes as a tool to better their life in every area possible. So that
That's
is,
so interesting.
yeah, yeah, yep.
And how did you get started with that?
I, so quick story, I've been diabetic since the age of 4, but I have always had a passion for people, helping people, and being a diabetic, since the age of 4, it's kind of been I've only known diabetes, It's not like
Mm.
someone that's developed it later or type 1 that's developed in their teenage years. It's a life that I've known, and I've always loved to be around other diabetics, help diabetics, talk diabetes. And so your daily diabetic really started when I became visually impaired. So I went through quite a bit of eye surgeries, almost 20 eye surgeries, and that was kind of an awakening to what I really wanted to do with my life and how I really wanted to educate and help individuals become the best version of themselves. But like I said, using diabetes as a tool to overall create the individual self that they wanted to be.
Yeah. Wow, since you're 4, so do you remember that I mean 4 is still very young, but I don't know if
Yeah.
you have some recollection of how you remember or how you were told about the diabetes because 4 is very, very
Yeah.
young.
Yes. So what I've learned is we all have a first memory. And my first memory is actually being diagnosed with diabetes. That's like the first memory I can recall. And
Wow.
my mom, she worked in the health industry, worked for Johnson and Johnson, and she kind of knew signs and symptoms. And also, my aunt was a type 1 diabetic, and my grandma was a type 1 diabetic. So my mom was around it.
Mm.
And I remember one day she was just like, "Hey, Beau, we're going for a drive." And I was like, "Yeah, Mom, let's go for a drive." Well, we drove to the hospital, and I was laying in the hospital bed, hooked up to IV machinery and nothing too crazy or intense, but I was playing Nintendo 64 with my older brother as I was being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so
Oh.
my mom caught some symptoms and noticed a few things and was like, "Yeah, let's go get you checked." And so that's my story of being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 4.
And it's a very vivid one. You still remember every detail.
I do, yeah, yep. And
Well,
not
did you?
everyone's journey of being diagnosed might be a beautiful one or something like that, but for me it was. So, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's journey is different.
Yep.
Did you feel, I'm just like curious now, did you feel scared or did you have questions? Because
No,
being in the hospital, being hooked up to those machines, and you're toddler, you're
yeah.
4, it could
Yep.
be, kind of intimidating or scary.
Yeah. I think my mom just ensured me everything's going to be good. And, I don't remember being scared. I don't remember really having questions. My mom probably asked all of them. I remember that's when life kind of started for me. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But as I grew older, as I became independent, I think is when you start to live on your own, is when questions really start to arise because you're on your own. You have to take care of yourself. You have to, every choice you make, just like every adult, when we start to live on our own, we really start to question the outside world, question what we put in our body and our
True.
mind and who we surround ourselves by and things like that. So I think that's when the questions really started to arise for me.
Yeah. And I'm curious also, how did your relationship with your diabetes, with your diagnosis of diabetes change as you age and over time?
I've always been, from friends that I've asked as or a young kid and things, that I have always been maybe a loud, proud diabetic, like never really scared to embrace it or check my blood sugars in public. There's moments though. It's not like perfect moments. I mean, there's times where I'm in the corner of the gym throwing sugar packets back, and I'm like, someone's probably giving me a weird stare, but this is what I have to do in order to, take care of my health. So it is what it is. But I think maybe early teenage years, you want to be a kid,
Yeah.
and so I think there's times where you're like, there's times that I was definitely like, I just want to be a kid, and there, and I think there's lessons learned there. But yeah, I definitely always embraced it, but maybe wasn't always the best diabetic. How about
Mm.
that? You know?
Yeah. And it's
Um,
hard when, especially when you're a teenager, you see your friends doing certain things. You see, they just don't think about what the things you are thinking about. They just don't have their bag full of snacks just in case you have a low blood sugar. And so,
yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you go into a diabetic's bag or a parent of a diabetic and it's like, oh, sugar packets, candy, snacks, all kinds of random little things. But like you said, yeah, the people don't realize why he needs to do this. And recently I met a fr became met an old friend from childhood, and we hadn't talked in some time. And she told me a story of when we were in elementary. She was always like, "Why does Beau get to go up and go eat these snacks at the most random times?" And it wasn't until she was older in life that she realized, oh, he needs to. It was kind of a funny story. She was like, "I was always jealous. He could have snacks whenever he wanted in class." And um, but yeah, so my relationship with diabetes has definitely evolved, and sometimes we need to learn from the past and learn from our mistakes in order to be better. And that's when becoming visually impaired, I really started to put health as my number one priority.
Yeah. And what happened? When did you start? When did you have to do eye surgeries?
Um, so I was diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy in both eyes when I was 27, and that is when the I call it the visual journey, the vision journey, really vision quest started. And I had eye surgeries for the next 2 years. So I had 19 eye surgeries in about a 2 year time frame.
Oh my
But
God, that's a lot of surgeries.
yeah, a little abnormal, but it is what it is. It was in a way a blessing in disguise. Like I said, it put me my priorities straight, put me on a path of health being the number one priority. But
Yeah.
it was definitely a journey. It was a yeah, it was some journey. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
I'm sure. And just for our audience, in case someone is not, very familiar, diabetes can have some serious complications on the long run if they're not controlled. So if your blood sugars stay high and are not and you're not able to control them, as time goes by and as we age, the high blood sugars affect the small blood vessels. So it can affect the blood vessels in the eye and cause something called diabetic retinopathy. So you can become visually impaired. And it can also affect your nerves. So you can have neuropathy where it manifests especially in the legs and the toes, where you start losing the feeling of, and you feel numb in your legs and your toes. And that's just some of the complications.
That was that was the best way possible to explain it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I noticed my vision maybe a few years before the age of 27, definitely starting to uh, something to develop, but I wouldn't say I was always educated with it. I kind of assumed glasses would fix it. I also assumed, one day when I'm successful, I can take care of my health. I can fix it. But that also comes with being stubborn and being not focused on health, which I believe your health is your number one priorities. And when you focus on your health, your dreams and goals will follow.
That's beautifully said. Yes. And also because again, diabetes is not something, it doesn't have symptoms. It's kind of silent. So you don't feel that you have diabetes every single day, every single time of the day. So you may think, oh, those complications I'm not gonna have. This is what we hear, this is what I'm told, but this is not gonna happen to me. And yeah,
Yep, that's yep, exactly. And being educated in any field you're in, whether it's your work field, your health, diabetes, I think is a very important thing. So, but
yeah,
you can't always realize the symptoms at that moment in time, and sometimes things have to develop for you to really be like, oh, action needs to be taken. But yeah,
yeah. And was that the tipping point for you when you had to
the
go
eyes,
the eyes?
yes. There was a, a quick story, if I may
Of
say.
course.
I'm in Seattle now, but I was living in Tennessee at the time at a job, and I was having lunch with a friend, sitting on a bench. And we were outside, and I kept trying to grab something. I thought there was like a spider web or something stuck to my face. And I was like, what is this? And as I kept trying to grab it, it was moving. And I asked my friend, hey, can you grab this like spider web? There's like something stuck to my face. And he looked at me and he said, Beau, nothing's there.
Oh,
And at that point, I knew it was a wake-up call for me and I needed to go see an ophthalmologist right away. And
oh,
that was kind of oh, yeah, something's not there, but something's in my eye that's moving, something.
yeah.
So that was what was called a floater.
Mm,
Yep. So that was definitely my wake-up call.
wow. Well,
Yep.
thank you for sharing. I appreciate
Yeah.
you sharing that and being open about it.
Yep. As hard as it is, I enjoy talking about it because not because it was a part of my life, but because it can help educate other individuals, We all learn from other people, right? People are
Yes,
learning from you constantly, which is one of the
yes,
reasons why I'm sure you enjoy having the dietitian table, right?
definitely. Yeah, that's why I love doing that.
Yeah, and you're great at it. And there is beauty behind sharing stories, and a story can tell, a powerful message. And that's why I enjoy talking about it. My
True.
story can help others, just like yours.
Yeah. And speaking of education, in your advocacy journey, is there a core piece of education that you would like to deliver to your audience or that you always use, to say to people?
Yeah. As a motivational speaker, we have lots of analogies or little terms. Change the way you think, you'll change the way you live. But I'd say the number one piece of advice that I have for individuals is to identify bad habits and replace them with healthy habits. And it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent.
Yes, I love that. And this is what I tell everyone. I tell all my patients, and anyone really interested in talking about their health and their journey. I just focus on being consistent and Because again, life is not perfect. We're not perfect. We're
No.
humans. So
Yep.
it's just being consistent and trying. So if something didn't work the first time, trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong, and how can I do better next time.
I 100% agree. Couldn't have said it any better. It's life is trial and error, trial and tribulations. It's sometimes the best way to learn is to make mistakes, right? And like you
Yes.
said, just trying, just keep trying, even when it's hard. There's growth and there's beauty in change and beauty in growing. And in order to grow, you have to learn, and learning
Yeah,
can't always be easy.
for sure. And also regarding diabetes, there are so many different ways to introduce healthy habits. And, you know, we can talk about your specific habits that you implemented, but just in general, just making sure that we have consistent meals throughout the day, just for our blood sugars to stay within normal range, to avoid the hypoglycemia, which is a drop in blood sugar.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I 100% agree. And those are the habits, right? It is um, being consistent, a routine basis is kind of the key to keeping stability in a way, right?
Mm,
It's getting off that roller coaster and being more on a
yeah,
you know smooth being on a wave versus a up and down kind of thing, you know.
true. And also,
Um,
you did mention to my producer something fun about your family history with insulin pumps. Uh,
ah,
would, would you like
yes.
me to tell me, would you like to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. I should have brought some of them with me, but I'll explain that in a second. So I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm on an insulin pump, the Medtronic 780G Guardian 4 with a sensor in my arm. And a sensor is what reads the blood sugars and sends it to the pump for it to work. My family history. So my aunt is type 1 diabetic, and my grandma is type 1 diabetic. But an interesting fact is my aunt and father were both adopted from different parents at birth. So I'm not blood related to my aunt, and I'm not blood related to my grandma. So there is diabetes in my family, but it doesn't run in my blood. That's my
That's
a little
very
story.
interesting.
It is, right? So in a way, I was born in a diabetic family. So
Yeah.
my grandma was the second person in the country to ever wear an insulin pump. Uh,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
back they say it was the size of like a brick, like massive, and versus something the size of a pager or something smaller now.
Yes.
So yeah, and I have quite a few of my grandma's pumps that I keep in one of my mini diabetes drawers just to see the growth and beauty and how technology has really transformed our lives, and especially in the diabetes world.
That is so cool that you have them physically and you can actually see the progression of the pumps.
Yep,
Because yes, they were big, they were very bulky, and then they transitioned to a belt type of pump where you could still hide it under your shirt, but it's still, very bulky as well.
yep,
And you would still need to do the finger pricks.
yep, yep,
And now with the glucose monitor, you don't
yeah,
need to do finger pricks anymore. So
oh yeah,
it's amazing how much research in diabetes has advanced, and it's still advancing. So we're still working on helping people that live with diabetes, help improve their quality of life, help them manage their insulin and their blood sugars.
I agree. I just
Yeah.
got a this week I'll be doing an update for my pump and my sensor. For my sensor right now is a 7-day sensor, so every Every Tuesday is when I do my sensor change, and it lasts for a week. Don't have to replace a new one. But the new update with the Medtronic pump will be 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
And to some viewers, it might not seem that much, but I mean that's 100% increase in time latency, right? So
Yes.
little things like that can go a long way, and it's one less sensor change. And it's weird how we get used to these new techniques and these new technology and how it evolves because 5 years ago I was on manually checking my fingers, and in college I was known have you ever heard the saying a trail of breadcrumbs?
Yes.
I was a trail of test strips. So somehow my test strips would fall out and I would pick them up, but people would know, be like, "Oh, Beau was in your car. There's your test strip." Yes, it wasn't always the best about emptying my diabetes kit, but the test strips were everywhere. I would check my blood sugars constantly. Yeah, and now I have to manually check my blood sugar maybe once a week when I'm doing a CGM replacement sensor. So I have to put it on a charger for an hour. And during that hour is about the only time I manually check my blood sugars now.
How does it feel? You went from manually checking every single day and several times throughout the day, and
Yeah,
then just checking once a week.
yeah. It's it is freedom in a way. It feels something about always being able to look at my pump and knowing what my blood sugar is. It gives confidence in my health in more ways. It gives confidence knowing I can go certain places, I can do certain activities. Even when I was manually checking my blood sugar, I would never, as best as I could, not let diabetes affect what I love to do. I would always play sports, work out, go hiking, fishing, camping, hang out with friends, etc. But this, it just gives a little bit more peace of mind and understanding that whatever situation I'm in, I can handle it to the best of my ability and even better than I could before because I have a pump and a CGM. So
Yeah.
it does a lot. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you went through that evolution. You went through like the bulky pumps, the finger pricks, and
Yeah.
then now you feel more free.
Yep. Yep. The
Yeah.
manual injections.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, 5, 10 times a day. Yeah, long-acting insulin, manual finger pricking. Yeah, I still bring my diabetes kit with me anywhere just as a backup. I think it's something about being a diabetic, you're kind of always prepared for a certain situation. Sugar
Yeah.
packets, things, snacks. But I don't know. I don't need to grab my diabetes kit to use it much. I end the diabetes kit in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how would you say that, if you want to explain a little bit how you learn to work with diabetes so that you can improve yourself and, improve yourself in different aspects of your life and not just with diabetes?
For sure. So just like in anyone's health, sleep patterns, what we eat, things like that, they affect our life. We might not notice it as much, but as a diabetic, you definitely will notice when you're not sleeping as well, when you're eating certain foods, you're seeing your blood sugar spike for random reasons. And like we said, there's no perfecting it, but there is learning and working on it. So before being visually impaired, there was times I would stay up late, work extra, um, stay up watching TV, just doing certain habits that I noticed weren't always healthy. And when I started to use diabetes as a tool, okay, my sleep patterns need to be better. What I'm eating late at night is affecting my blood sugars. So I need to start eating earlier and earlier dinner. Um, I also I know eating out, things like that cost more money. So what am I going to do? I'm going to cook at home. That's probably healthier also, right? Than to always be
Yes.
eating out.
Yes.
And I'm also saving money that way. What can I do with that money? Well, I can invest that money. I can save that money. I can use that money to create more freedom in my life. So I take bad habits such as staying up late. All right, I'm going to go to bed at the same time as often as I can. I'm going to wake up at the same time. I'm going to cook my own food. I'm going to meal prep. I have hundreds of habits that I've noticed I've developed, and it takes time, like we were talking about. It's just trying different things and noticing how my week has ended, how that day has ended. And over time is when you really see, the compound interest of those habits really playing effect in your overall life, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. Just yeah. I say habits will either beat you and defeat you, or they will refine you and define you.
Wow.
So
I'm
yeah,
gonna write this down.
yeah, go for it. That's the speaking
Yeah.
coming into play, but little little sayings like that remind me of why I'm putting health as my number one priority, and why I replace bad habits with healthy habits, because
Mm,
overall habits is kind of who makes us who we are in a way.
true. And what advice would you give someone who's recently been diagnosed with diabetes and starting their journey?
I would um I would like to know what they think of diabetes and kind of overall where their mindset is, because they're individuals, and it might be based off their age, what age they're at, where they're at in their life. But I would uh I would ask and understand where they're at first in their life, and try to ask what they would need help with, education wise. Are they feeling comfortable with it? Just try to get a better understanding of who they are and how they think diabetes is going to play an effect or role in their life. So, really getting to know that individual before giving them advice or pointing them in a direction that could help them.
Yeah, that's something that is so important because uh, a lot of, healthcare professionals just tell you what you need to know about diabetes, and instead of really knowing where the person is at, where their mindset is at, what they're scared of, what they know, maybe they think they know something, but they have a misconception around diabetes. So you're right, just trying to get to know them
Yep.
and then meet them where they are and go from there.
I 100% agree. I think that's the best way to catering and tailoring towards someone's needs is
Yeah.
get to know where they're at and who they are. Um,
And that's how they can become their best selves.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And like you know, routine and habits and stuff is all tailored towards that individual's lifestyle and who they are. Because I wake up at like 4:30 or 5 a.m. and I'm in bed by 8 p.m. But if someone works, my schedule is not going to work for their schedule. So it's those habits of just getting a good sleep pattern, um, going to bed and waking up kind of at the same time, near the same time, but obviously based off of that individual's life and their life overall and where they're at.
Yes, for sure.
Yep. Um, yeah. So yeah, diabetes, yeah, I enjoy talking about it and educating others about it, and using my vision journey, my vision quest as a way to not inspire, but just to help educate people to become the best version of themselves. And everyone's life story, there is beauty in it, and the more we share it and talk about it to others, the more people can learn and take what they need from it in order to become the best version of themselves.
Yes, and they'll feel more confident. They'll be able to really grow and live their life the way they want it.
Yep. And I think the way social media, a lot of it, and the way just kind of the world has changed over the last 10, 20 years is people think perfection because they see
Mm.
perfection. And that's one of the reasons why I love your podcast is because you really get to know who you're talking to, and people get to be uh, vulnerable and explain really mistakes that we've made. And it's not like, and it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to not, yeah, be who you want to be right now. But as long as you're working on that, there's beauty in that. And yeah,
I agree. Yes. Thank
yep,
you.
yep,
And thank you so much for sharing your story with me today, Beau. That
yeah.
was Beau Burnett from Your Daily Diabetic. And for our audience, please like this episode, comment your thoughts, follow us on YouTube and Spotify. If you would also like to be a guest, you can apply on our website, thedietitianstable.com/apply. Thank you for joining us, Beau, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you very much, Joy. It was my pleasure.
The Dietitian's Table podcast is an independent production of the Dietitian's Table, LLC. Our co-founder and host is Joy Corey, MS, RD, CNSC. Our co-founder and CEO is Sam Sabaga. Our creative director and executive producer is me, Siri Khan. Content of the Dietitian's Table is for informational purposes only and is not intended as individual medical advice. For specific dietary or medical concerns, please reach out to your primary care provider.